Hello and welcome to another episode of That's What You Get, the show where I show you how not to play poker. Not how to play poker, how not to play poker. We're going to be reviewing a hand again where I got beat by quads. This is the last one, I promise. We're only 2 hands in, and I've been beaten by quads twice in this series. So, last time it was kind of questionable. You know, the ace-king versus the queens and the jacks. What are you going to do? This time, bad decision-making all around on my part. So I'm in the button, and the blinds are 20-40. And I get dealt Jack 10. There's a limper, and then there's another limper, so now there's a total of 140 in the pot. I raise it to 240, little over pot size. My plan is to steal, because there are 2 callers and the big blind and the small blind in there. Nobody appears to be very strong. Jack 10's a playable-ish hand, especially from the button. I have position, so let's see what happens. One person calls me. That's it. The other 3 fold. Not what I really wanted, but if I'm going to play this, I'll play heads up. I'll trust my post-flop skills, see what happens. So the flop comes out 7-8 queen. I have Jack 10, so all I really have here is an inside straight draw. It's not good, and I'm in position, but I'm raised 100. So I'm thinking to myself, what are the ranges of hands that this guy might have limped and then called a raise with? Queen Jack? Possible. Maybe King Queen? Maybe if he's on the conservative side. Ace Queen? Doubtful. But really I don't care about the Queen because if he has the Queen right now, he's got me beat. My only chance to catch him is to hit a 9. That's really all there is to it. But then I think about the fact that he limped from early position, so I have to think about some of the hands that he's limped with before. 5s, 6s, stuff like that. I'm looking at the board. It doesn't look that strong. There's currently 500, or is it 380? There's 580 in the pot. So a bet of 100 is kind of a value bet, maybe? I'm thinking he has like a small pair or something. So, like I said, 5s, 6s, maybe even 7s or 8s here. I'm thinking 8s. I'm thinking he wants to see if I miss the flop like you do 66% of the time. I did, but I had another idea in mind. So, I'm about to make my first mistake, which is calling. So I call. The next card that comes out is a 7. Now I got a problem because the board is paired. I still don't have anything. And he checks to me. Why on earth is he checking to me? Is it because his 8's no good? Is it because he's worried that I have a 7? But that wouldn't make sense if he was thinking about my range of hands. Does he have a queen still? Now I'm still thinking the queen is possible now, but less likely. I don't think the 7 is scaring him. I'm thinking he has 2 pair of some kind. And again, all I have is an inside straight draw. However, I've forced this guy off of hands before, and this is where I get overconfident. About 3 hands before, this guy had been wiping the floor with everybody. So about 3 hands before, I bet on the turn and got him to fold a very big pot. It's how I got to where I was at this point, which when this hand started I had 880 chips, which is pretty good at this point in the tournament. I'm thinking I can do it again. I don't know why. And I'm also thinking if it doesn't work, I have anywhere from 4 outs with the 9 to possibly 12 outs if he does have an 8. Like I can hit a jack or a 10 or something. I'm not thinking straight here. The odds on this, the pot odds, are terrible. But what do? Raise to 300. That leaves me with, let me see, I wrote it down here. That leaves me with like 230 chips in a pot that is now swollen to the size of 1,080. I am pot committed with nothing. And the problem is that I'm seeming weak by not pushing all of my chips in here. I might as well have went all in. It would have been a stronger decision. But I didn't. That left him an opportunity to think about it, and he went all in. Now I'm confused. I'm thinking to myself, 2 7s on the board. Does he have a 7? What could he have gotten to this point with a 7 with? A 7? Maybe? I mean, these people at these tournaments, they like to play ace with weak kickers, so it's possible there's an ace 7. 8-7, does he already have a full house? Why would he call the pre-flop bet with 8-7? Unless it was suited. That's possible. But, I mean, all of this thinking means nothing because I'm pot committed. So basically, I'm hoping he has an 8. If he has a 7, I don't know how he got there with it, but, oh well. So I call. When I call, he flips it over. He has 10-7. I'm not sure what happened pre-flop to make him think he needed to make a call with 10-7 offsuit. But that's the only mistake he made. I think he believed in his post-flop skills over mine. We both believed in our post-flop skills. And his turned out to be correct. Because now he has trip 7s. So now, I went from possibly 12 outs to 4. I have 4 outs. So, I say the one thing that you should never ever say in poker. One time. Don't ever say that. You have no influence over the cards and you're wasting your breath and you look kind of stupid. Well, it was one time, all right. It was another 7. So, my draw lost to quad 7s. I didn't show my hand because I was out and I just left. That was 2 out of the last 3 weeks that I lost to quads. The last one that I lost to quads with, I showed people. This one, I didn't. So nobody knows how badly I played this hand. Nobody knows, except now everybody who's watched this show. So let's take a look at it visually, and I promise you the framing will look better on this one. So when this hand starts, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the small blind and the big blind, one caller, there's the other limper, and here I am. I'm on the button, and I look at Jack-10. It's offsuit. Oh well. So I'm like, you know what? I'm taking a shot at a steal here. That's the entire point of this bet. This bet is a steal. And we get a fold, a call, and a fold. So now this is the pot. This is what we're looking at right here. We're looking at a pretty big pot. This thing has swelled already to, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 580. Pot's already 580. Here's my stack right here. This is all I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 550, 630 is all I have left. So, the flop comes out like this. I look up here. He bets a measly 100. Now, knowing how this hand ends and knowing what he has, this makes sense. He's testing the waters. He wants to know if his 7 is good enough and if I miss the flop the 66% of the time that I am. I did miss the flop. This should tell me that he thinks that his hand is okay, because all he did was call, and he's betting into the razor, which is called a donk bet. It's not a donk bet because it's bad. It's the donk bet because you're betting into the razor. That's all it is. So right here, I should stop the hand and fold, but I don't. I didn't think of that, so I just called with the intent of no matter what came out, I was going to raise. So when I'm looking at this, I'm concerned. He appears to be as well, because we see checks. So I'm looking at this like the only thing that I can do here is either raise or check to the river. If I would have checked to the river here, if I would have just checked to the river, I would have laid this hand down in a heartbeat. I was trying to win this hand now, but the problem is my SPR is nothing. It's way less than 1. My stack is nowhere close to what's in here. And I'm already pot committed, really. the best thing that I can do is hope that I can make it to the river for free. But instead, that's what I do. All I'm doing is enticing him to take his 7s and push all of his chips in. He's got me covered. I have absolutely no reason to call other than, look at my stack, look how much is in there, what am I going to do? So, of course, I have no choice but to go all in here. I am so far behind when the cards are flipped. Still, I'm not real sure why he played 10-7 pre-flop, other than I think his post-flop post-flop skills were better than mine, and it turned out they were. Looking back now, I see the mistakes that I made, and there's a lot of them. There's barely any room for, like, saying that the hand was good in any way on my part. And, of course, there's the last 7. So, brutal hand. Brutal, brutal, brutal. All the way around. Not just the way it turned out, but the way I played it. So,